Okay, so just before we get into this Cavs recap, I want to show you guys something cool. Look at this. This is like looking into a mirror, but it lasts forever. Okay, that was it. Back to the Cavs review now. Okay, back to the matter at hand. The Cavs haven't played a ton of basketball since we last did a recap on account of the All-Star break in which Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley were representatives of the Cavs, so good for them. I don't really watch All-Star festivities, but again, I do think it's nice that their good seasons have been recognized. Hopefully, a guy like Darius Garland, who felt like maybe he should have been in the All-Star festivities, hopefully he uses that kind of fire to fuel the rest of the season. But we'll talk about this game that the Cavs played against the 76ers. They take the loss in Philadelphia 118-112. They just didn't come out of the gate nearly as ready as Philadelphia did, something that the Cavs have been kind of working on with their issues on the road. James Harden was an issue for them in the first quarter, but my main issue with it was kind of the inability to put together a really solid response for pretty much the majority of the first half. The Cavs carrying a win streak into this game with potential playoff seeding implications, maybe if it gets closer down the road. Something that, it's a disappointing first half, but I don't want to discredit the Cavs' second half efforts here. They were down big at halftime. I think it was around 25 points, but they did continue to fight and try to stay in it. Even when their second half efforts weren't immediately rewarded with a huge comeback right away, the deficit was still pretty big throughout the entirety of the third quarter and even into the fourth quarter. The Cavs were down pretty big, but they still continue to claw back and fight in it. Evan Mobley, who I thought was having a pretty tough game in this one, he did step up pretty big in the fourth quarter when it was starting to matter. Garland and Mitchell both having some nice scoring games, 27 and 33 points respectively, although you could say that even though he scored less points, Garland had the much better shooting night, so maybe he had a better game overall if you think that. No one on the bench for the Cavs really got enough minutes to really have a huge impact on the game besides Karis LeVert, who only had 5 points anyway, although he did chip in 5 assists as well, so there's that. The 76ers just had some guys go off. All of their starters got to double-digit points. Joel Embiid was a point away from 30. He was also great. I mentioned James Harden being an issue earlier. Both him and Embiid went for double-doubles for the 76ers. Tyrese Maxey was effective off the bench in his minutes for Philly. I liked the Cavs' second half efforts, but it kind of proved to be a little bit too little too late after essentially getting run out of the building in the earlier half in the game. So as far as where the Cavs are in the standings as we get a little bit closer to playoff time, the Cavs are currently 4th in the East. So if the playoffs started today, they would be hosting a playoff series, so that's nice. They are 2.5 games ahead of the Nets, 2 games behind the 76ers, who they just played before the All-Star break, and they are 5 games ahead of the play-in tournament. Yes, I am still keeping an eye on where the play-in tournament is because I will forever be scarred for, from last year until playoff success in later years, because I don't want to see the play-in tournament, so I'm going to keep an eye on that as much as I can. So like I said earlier, if the playoffs started today, they would host a playoff round. They would play round 1 against the Nets. That matchup, it looks a lot less daunting than it did before the trade deadline now that, Irving and Durant are no longer on that team. But I don't want to ever, underestimate a potential playoff matchup like, the Cavs would definitely win that one easily. But it does make the Nets a bit less of a daunting matchup for the Cavs without those two guys on it, just like they would for any team. Now, if they do manage to catch the 76ers and grab the 3rd seed, I think that's the current highest realistic expectation we can have. The Bucks and the Celtics are just kind of too far out of reach. The Cavs have to go on a crazy win streak to get close to there. The Heat and the Knicks are currently neck and neck for that 6th seed. How crazy would it be if the Miami Heat do end up grabbing that 6th spot and the Cavs do end up grabbing that 3 spot, and the round 1 matchup with the Heat and the Cavs with Kevin Love wearing a Miami Heat jersey? I guess it wouldn't feel good for me as a Cavs fan, but I guess it would just be surreal because the Cavs, bottom out. He goes to the Heat. And, that would just be kind of a weird, awkward scenario of like, Kevin Love will always be a Cleveland legend and we all love Kevin Love, but hopefully we have to take care of business against the Heat in the first round. That would be a little weird. I kind of actually hope that doesn't happen. But I guess either way, I think at this point in the season to where we were last year, the fact that we're, talking about the Cavs and they could be hosting a playoff series in the NBA. I know that's what the Cavs hoped for when they, swung the big trade for Donovan Mitchell, but to see it actually come to fruition and to see this Cavs organization have some kind of success in my lifetime without it being attached to a guy named LeBron James is, you know, something that's completely new to me as a Cavs fan. It's something that's nice to see. So thank you all for watching. If you made it so far into this video, a bit shorter of a Cavs update because they just didn't play that much basketball throughout the past week. They do have a tough test against the Nuggets, so we'll see if they are really ready to make a run at the playoffs at this juncture, if we need to start having tougher conversations about are they really ready for this yet or not. But that's for next week. So until then, I will see you at the next one.